Hey everyone, today we will discuss the chapter 15 of Audit in CIS Environment, which is all about IT sourcing. So first, what is IT sourcing strategy? So ito yung parang game plan ng isang company sa IT, which refers to the hardware, software, at pwedeng services. So dito is nag-decide sila kung ano yung bibilhin, sino yung suppliers, at paano i-manage yung contracts. So it is important din na magkaroon tayo ng strategic alignment para ma-match dun sa business goals at hindi magka-conflict doon sa operations. So inagamit nila yung frameworks like yung COVID, particularly the A15 para sa procurement, supplier selection, at contract management. And sa suppliers, pwedeng single supplier pero risky siya and multiple suppliers dahil mas flexible pero mas complex. So, wag din nating akalimutan na meron tayong total cost of ownership kasama dito yung training at infrastructure and hindi lang presyo. At syempre, partnership at exit, which refers to the good supplier relationship pero may backup plan dapat kung sakaling mag-fail ang operations. So next, we have the software acquisition process. And ang goal nito is to identify at i-compare sa different software options para makuha yung pinaka-fit sa business needs ng isang company. And we also have the phase 1, which refers to the foundation analysis, and it includes the defining requirements, identifying alternatives, feasibility check, risk analysis, at ergonomic considerations. And we also have the phase 2, which refers to the market engagement, the selection process, and the talk to vendors, request proposals, and compare options. And we also have the phase 3, which refers to execution and assurance. Dito is nabili at na-implement yung software tapos final acceptance para siguradong mas maayos at So, in software acquisition process is nagasimula tayo by defining requirements, and this is critical kasi dito nakabase lahat ng susunod na decisions. So, kinukuha natin dito yung needs ng users at business gamit yung interviews, surveys, observations, or minsan pwede ring prototypes at RAD para mas ma-visualize agad kung ano yung gusto ng user. So, lahat ng info is ina-consolidate natin sa requirements document. Next is the step 2, which refers to the identifying alternatives, and meron tayo ditong 4 na options. The first one is the off-the-shelf solutions. This is ready-made, mabilis i-implement, may support, pero kailangan nating i-adjust yung business processes. The second one is the purchase packages. So dito is pre-developed, medyo aligned siya dun sa common needs, stable at may support, pero minsan ay may adjustments pa rin. And we also have the contracted development. So dito naman is external developers yung gumagawa ng custom system. And swak siya sa needs ng company, pero mas mahal at may risk sa contractor dependency. And the last one is the outsourcing, which is ibang company yung mag-handle. Cost-effective siya at focus dun sa core business, pero less control at dependent tayo sa provider. So after identifying alternative, the next step is the feasibility analysis. So basically, ina-check natin dito kung realistic at practical ba yung options. So una is the economic feasibility. So inatingnan natin kung worth it ba yung cost versus benefits. Next is the political feasibility, kung compatible ba sa corporate culture and matatanggap ba ng employees at management. Then technical feasibility, kaya ba ng current hardware, systems at network ng company na i-support yung software. Kasama na rin dito yung legal feasibility. So, ina-check natin yung contracts, licensing, at compliance. Lastly is the operational feasibility. So, kakayanin ba ng organization na i-adapt yung system sa people at processes? And after that, we will have the risk analysis to assess the potential threats as well as the ergonomic requirements that focuses sa users para masiguradong comfortable at safe gamitin yung system. So, for the next one is we have the step 6, which is all about the selection process. So, una, meron tayong request for information. So, dito is makuha tayo ng information mula sa suppliers para malaman natin kung ano nga ba yung options na meron tayo. So, para lang siyang survey, which is magagamit natin ito dun sa request for proposal. Sa RFP naman dito is nakalagay lahat ng requirements, pero yung suppliers, pwede pa rin siyang mag-suggest ng better solutions. So, lahat ng tanong at sagot is nakalagay sa written form and asun din siya para fair sa lahat. And we also have the request for bid, and gamit nito kapag sure ka na dun sa product or service, tapos gusto mo lang makakuha ng price for bid. So, terms usually ay fixed na and hindi na masyadong pwedeng baguhin. So, next, pagdating sa evaluating proposals, ang unang step is asiguraduhin nating impartial yung selection committee. So, kailangan nilang mag-sign ng conflict of interest statements para fair sa lahat ng bidders. The next one is inatingnan natin yung total cost of ownership. So, dito is hindi lamang presyo ng software yung importante. Kasama na rin dito yung hidden cost like yung training, yung maintenance, saka yung infrastructure. Then, a-assess natin yung scalability at integration capabilities. Kaya ba ng system na lumaki or mag-adapt sa future needs ng company at compatible ba sa existing systems? Lastly, we verify the supplier viability as well as the financial stability. So, asiguraduhin natin na stable at capable ang supplier kasi hindi naman natin gusto na ma-stack sa vendor na baka hindi makasustain or support sa delivery. Moving on sa pag-procure ng software, kailangang malinaw yung prices and conditions dahil madalas complicated ito dahil dun sa risk and unpredictable cost. So this is important din na tama ang contract type, whether fixed price or time and materials dahil dito nakadepende yung risk ng isang buyer. So dapat complete yung contract terms tulad ng functional requirements, yung deliverables, yung schedules, and yung support. And pagdating naman sa final acceptance, kailangang may clear acceptance plans na nakalagay doon sa contract at usually is ina-hold yung final payment hanggang ma-meet lahat ng requirements. And lastly, it is important na meron tayong life cycle integration from install, secure, track hanggang dun sa maintenance para tuloy-tuloy at effective yung paggamit ng software. So next is we have the IT problems and clauses. So pagdating sa IT contracts, malaking issue yung imbalance of power. So dahil mas familiar yung supplier doon sa product and contract terms kaysa doon sa buyer, so kung atanggapin lang ng buyer ng walang negotiation, magiging malaking risk ito doon sa system failures and costly legal issues. And kadalasan, meron tayong standard clauses tulad ng integration into writing, meaning yung verbal promises is hindi man valid. We also have the defect-free media warranty, yung media lang and hindi software, and limitations of remedies. So, liability is limited sa price ng goods. And para protektado yung isang company is meron tayong customer protective clauses tulad ng performance warranties, due professional care requirements, and kasama na rin yung right to create backups. So, sa madaling salita, careful review and negotiation yung susi para maiwasan ng business ang risk. So, sa strategic sourcing, may policy na nag-guide kung paano kumukuha ng IT services, whether centralized or through third-party providers, para mas maging organized at aligned dun sa needs ng organization. So, sa supplier management naman, is minomonitor yung performance ng suppliers gamit yung service level agreements para masiguradong reliable sila while balancing costs and risk para maiwasan yung problema doon sa mga vendors. Meanwhile, ang role naman ng auditor is to review the contracts and to protect the organization, to verify the procurement process kung tama ba yung requirements and evaluation, and to ensure compliance and proper testing bago yung deployment. Overall, ang goal nito is maging efficient, controlled, at low risk yung pag-manage ng suppliers habang natitiyak na nakakasunod sa standards and policies. So, sa pag-audit ng software acquisitions, it is important na i-consider natin yung common acquisition risk, which includes the solution na hindi na nagtutugma doon sa intended purpose, yung technical feasibility issues, yung increased costs or missed deadlines, as well as the neglected operational requirements. And to mitigate this common acquisition risk is meron tayong risk controls na dapat i-check, which includes the alignment ng solution sa business at security strategy ng company, yung pagsunod sa security at control requirements, yung malinaw na definition ng information requirements, the feasibility studies, the identification ng functionality, operational acceptance, as well as the maintenance needs. And dapat is asiguraduhin natin yung conformity sa existing system architecture, yung knowledge ng available solutions, yung proper understanding ng acquisition at implementation methodologies, yung buy-in ng user at evaluation ng supplier requirements at viability. So meaning to say, structured review at proper controls yung susi para mas maging successful at low-risk software acquisition. So I also have the supplemental slide which will further enhance your knowledge about the IT sourcing. So for our next topic, we have the chapter 16, which is all about the application controls and maintenance. So this topic is governed by the COBIT process AI2, which is all about the acquire and maintain application software. So, it is important na yung maintenance ay align sa business at IT strategies para maiwasan natin yung performance issues at inefficient use ng resources. So, meron tayo ditong ilang control objectives na dapat sundin. This includes the high level at detailed design, application control at auditability, the application security at availability, the configuration at implementation, major upgrades sa existing software, the development ng application software, software quality assurance, the application requirements management, as well as the software maintenance. So, si application risk is marami tayong areas na dapat bantayan. Kasama na dito yung misuse by authorized users, the unauthorized access sa data or remote access, the inaccurate information at weak security, and pwede rin tayo magkaroon ng erroneous or falsified data input, the incomplete processing, the duplicate transactions, or untimely processing. So, bukod dito is yung risk mula doon sa communication system failure, inadequate training, inadequate support ay pwede ring mag-impact doon sa reliability at performance ng application. So, sa madaling salita, kailangan natin ng strong controls, proper access management, and adequate user support para ma-minimize natin yung risk at siguradong secure at accurate yung system operations. So next, sa end-user computing or EUC, tulad ng spreadsheets at department-developed databases is meron tayong inherent risk na dapat bantayan. Kabilang na dito yung system incompatibilities, the inefficient use ng resources, the redundant systems, as well as the suboptimal implementations. So, pwedeng magkaroon ng lack of segregation duties, unauthorized access sa data or programs, copyright violations, at data loss mula sa malware or viruses. And bukod dito, insufficient backup at recovery mechanisms ay malaking risk sa business continuity. So, sa madaling salita, just like the mitigations for common application risk na na-discuss kanina is need din natin dito ng strong controls, proper access management, at reliable backup procedures para mas maging secure, efficient, at well-managed yung EUC applications. So we also have the electronic data interchange or EDI at IT applications. So maraming risk na maaring maka-affect doon sa operations at business continuity. Kasama na dito yung going concern issues, increased exposure sa fraud, yung loss of transactions, at errors sa information at communication systems. So, pwede ring magkaroon tayo dito ng loss of audit trails, potential legal liability, the overcharging by third-party providers, the manipulation ng organization or payments, at failure ng applications. So, bukod dito, yung risk tulad ng not achieving the cost savings, concentration of control, and interdependence of issues, at loss of confidentiality ng sensitive information ay dapat nating i-monitor. So next, we have the electronic data interchange applications. Risk can have serious consequences sa business. And kasama na dito yung loss of transaction audit trails, increased exposure sa ransom, sa blackmail or fraud, and disruption ng cash flow. And yung mga ito is pwedeng mag-lead doon sa loss of profitability, reputational damage, and financial collapse. And overall, nalalagay yung organization sa mataas na operational, financial, and as well as legal vulnerability. And meaning to say, yung EDI risk ay hindi lamang siya technical issues. They directly impact business continuity, financial stability, as well as the corporate reputation. And as a response to the risk discussed earlier, we have the application controls. So sa application controls, meron tayong three main aspects which ensures data integrity. The first one is the processing controls, and dito is inasiguro yung authenticity, accuracy, and completeness bago pumasok sa system. Also, we have the output controls, which is inatiyak niya na yung process na ay napaprocess ng tama yung data and walang unauthorized addition, loss, or alteration. We also have the input controls, which is nagpo-protect doon sa final output, nagse-secure doon sa distribution base sa need to know, and tama yung reconciliation. Submitting to say, this application controls is critical para mas maging reliable, accurate, and secure yung information sa buong processing cycle. Next is the web-based application risk and controls, which is yung web-based applications is isang shift mula doon sa traditional client-server models papuntang Web 2.0 technologies na ginagamit ng thick-at-thin clients. And kabilang sa advantages nila is yung cost efficiency, yung accessibility, faster business processes, as well as flexible infrastructure. But just like other systems, marami rin itong security risk. Tulad na lamang ng injection attacks, yung cross-site scripting, broken authentication at session management, the cross-site request forgery, the secure direct object references, security misconfigurations, the insecure cryptographic storage, the failure to restrict URL access, the insufficient transport layer protection, as well as the unvalidated redirects or forwards. And these risks can affect the data integrity, the confidentiality, as well as the availability. Kaya critical yung proper security measures sa web-based applications. Moving on to the documentation requirements. So, mahalaga na masigurado nating maayos yung records para sa maintainability ng system and para ma-minimize natin yung errors doon sa operations. So, dapat is nakabase din siya doon sa standards and nagbibigay ng sapat na information. And dapat lagi din siyang updated kapag merong modifications. So, moreover, documentations must consist of description ng procedures, instructions sa personnel, flowcharts, data flow diagram, display or report layouts, as well as yung iba pang materials na nag-describe doon sa system. And for us to know kung maayos ba yung documentation, it must directly support the application software lifecycle na binubuo ng development, acquisition, implementation, and maintenance. And para masigurado natin na yung software ay maayos na nade-develop, na-acquire, na ipapatupad, and na-maintain sa buong operational period. So, meaning to say, yung documentation at software lifecycle ay nagkakaugnay para masiguradong efficiency, yung reliability, as well as the long-term maintainability ng isang system. Furthermore, application maintenance is categorized into three types. The first one is the corrective maintenance, which addresses emergency program fixes and routine debugging. Second is adaptive maintenance, which accommodates changes in the system or business requirements. And the last one is the perfective maintenance, which focuses on user enhancements, improved documentation, and recording for efficiency. So, measuring the risk in application maintenance involves several indicators. This includes the ratio of actual maintenance, cost per application versus the average time to deliver change requests, the number of change requests per application, the number of production problems deviations from standard procedures, the number of modules returned to development, the time elapsed to analyze and fix problems, as well as the percentage of application software affected. So in conclusion, systematic application maintenance combined with comprehensive risk measurement is critical to ensure that software remains reliable, efficient, and sustainable, while minimizing operational disruptions, cost overruns, and potential failures. So that would be all for my short presentation. Thank you very much and have a great day ahead.